Welcome to the detail shop. We're going to be doing a detail on the exterior of this destroyed Lucid Air. It's going to be getting XPEL XR Plus window tint. It's going to be getting a full 90 to 95% paint correction, full PPF over the entire car, over all painted surfaces. It will be getting just the works to it, and it needs it. We're going to start by just kind of going over the vehicle and seeing, what defects does it have. This vehicle has lived a very rough life at this point. It runs through tunnel washes every day, it looks like. So we're gonna kind of talk about things that probably came from the dealership, things that have probably happened from the tunnel wash, and talk about ways we can protect this car so that the owner of it wants to continue to have the ease of running through the tunnel wash every day. He just wants the ease of use, and so he's gonna leave the car with us for a week. We're going to bust our butts working on this, and we're gonna make it look how it was supposed to when he was delivered the car. First thing I want to talk about is we'll go over the paint. We'll measure some spots out. We'll look at how the paint has stood up over time in the car wash. This car is only a couple months old. I've got my handy little paint depth gauge here, and we're gonna go ahead and see how thick the door jambs are, which are gonna be the thinnest part of the vehicle, and then kind of compare that to the rest of it, just to know what our workable area is. You got a 2.8, 3.08, that was a 6 is what that was reading there. That's probably off, 4.3. 2.8 is gonna be kind of our low spot there that we'll work off of. Things that we noticed, I'm getting about 5.4. That'll be a pretty common trend around this car, is the 4.5s, 5.4s. Hood's gonna be almost a 6. That's gonna be a pretty common story across the hood. Really random how much it changes. Some things I wanna point out on this hood is if you look inside these plastic marks, you'll see this white residue. This car's been buffed at some point. So it was probably buffed at the dealership. And if you know anything about it, it just means that it was some lazy work there where they didn't tape off the plastics. Over here, this could be, byproducts of a dirty towel, not cleaning the car off properly before buffing. You got some pigtails in here from the buffer just going ham on the car. And we're gonna be able to get all this out for the owner and make it look right. The car's gorgeous overall. It's the Grand Tour Edition, $150,000 car. This is long overdue to have this detail done. This is something where we would prefer for the car to come in as soon as they get it from the factory, from the dealer, however that worked out, and we're able to protect it right off the bat. It's got another rock chip right here on a corner. It's a really common place for rock chips on these cars. A lot of people don't realize it, but those edges are vulnerable to getting those rock chips there. We'll work our way down. I want to bring up something that I saw in another video. This is a build quality thing, and I just want to bring this up on Lucid because I saw it in one video and I wondered, I wonder if they fixed that problem. And it was these the window seals here. Whenever you open the car, they're not really fitted. They just pop up. There's nothing really holding them down. And that's kind of an annoying little feature there because if you're wiping your car off with the door open, you'll knock the window seal out. Next thing I want to point out is going to be this rear glass. If you look at this rear deck, it is right pressed up against the glass, and it's actually wearing on that rear deck there. And it's happening on both sides of this car where it is rubbing on that deck as the car is driving down the road, and it's slowly rubbing through that material. And where this car is so new, it only has 3,000 miles on it. That's not gonna look good in 40,000 miles, you know what I mean? Next nitpick on the car is gonna have to be this rear deck and just the whole trunk lid. I don't like how it goes edge to edge. I think it's a little ridiculous. The mouth opening is really small. I wish they had done a true sport back where the whole back end lifts up. But if they redid this car, I would think that they would put a hinge somewhere up here versus just having that tiny little opening. The back end looks great. I love how the lights are just kind of the infinity lights where it gives you that depth perception in it. Again, this trunk lid is destroyed in scratches. Piano black plastic has no place on vehicles, in my opinion. Find something else, do stained glass, anything, but this piano black plastic really needs to go because it's a pain in the butt to polish and it scratches very, very easy. It's very soft, and car companies need to stop using it. I brought up that we are going to be tinting these windows. If you look, this window goes all the way to the edge here. It's got the frame, it's framed off on top, so I'm not really sure how we're going to get past that. It's got 2 gaskets on the window, and so it's pretty common for us to have to go past 1 gasket and get to the edge, but where this one has 2 gaskets in there, I foresee our window tinter expanding his vocabulary on this car. Up here's a little bit different of a story on the front window. It's got a single gasket that I can see going across. It's got the, almost looks like that piano black behind this, but it's the window again goes all the way across, which is interesting to me because it's kind of like a frameless window, but the frame's built into the back side, except on top where it's on both sides. So it's just a little bit of a pain in the butt. I'm sure it has something to do with sound deadening and noise cancellation. So we'll make sure to document that and help however we can for other people in the future to be able to know what to do. We're probably gonna remove that rear deck lid, the rear deck lid, speaker housing, just so we can get to that back window. All the door cards are gonna be removed in order to tint the windows. We'll probably bottom load it. So that'll go well. So talking a little bit more about what we're going to be doing. Our window tint's the XR Plus. It's going to be a 98% heat rejection. We'll be doing 15% all the way around the side windows and the back windows. The entire vehicle will be done in Ultimate Plus paint protection film through Expel. All the edges of this hood, we will be wrapping everything that we can wrap. We'll be cleaning up this polish that had got onto the plastic. We will be wrapping the entire front here, the emblems, the whole front bumper, and the aim is to not have any relief cuts and to make the wrap look as seamless as possible. I don't believe we'll do anything with the windshield as far as tint. For those who don't know the inside of this car, the glass goes all the way up to the B pillar. It's a single piece of glass inside the car. It looks like it splits off with these 2 little ears, but we will more than likely wind up not doing anything because we'd have to put a hard line somewhere for the film, and I don't think it would look good. And it's already tinted pretty far down. We're probably not going to do anything there. I do think this is a gorgeous car, and I believe we can make it look good. Right now, this car is just poor. I've seen 10-year-old Honda Civics come in with less scratches than this. And this just seems to be built a little bit better, so I'm really proud that this owner has brought his car to us and entrusted us with being able to do this for him. We're gonna give it our best effort to give this man a flawless car. So stick with us throughout this detail, you're gonna love it. Okay, welcome to the detail shop again. It's day 2 of this Lucid Air that we have in here, and there's a few things we want to talk to you about. First, I'll tell you, we've got it prepped. It's deconned, clay barred. They've started the cut and polish. Almost the entire car is done at this point, where we're getting all the scratches and swirls out. We were able to get out the pigtails on the hood. I've noticed a couple defects on this car since it's been in our shop. I'm gonna start with this right here on the gasket, just underneath this rear window. It's coming up pretty good and it's busted out a little bit. And that's just kind of a concern there, as well as the front on the car no longer works. The hood latches up front have ceased somehow. So it just kind of bows the hood when it tries to open and then says that it can't, which is really annoying. We didn't do anything, it just stopped working. We still need to cut and polish the rear bumpers. It will be going in for window tint tomorrow, and then the 2 days following that will both be allotted for paint protection. We're doing the entire car. It's looking great. You can actually see the sides now. There's no remnants of the tunnel wash left on this vehicle. So we're excited to see what the final product will be.
This is a Lucid Air Grand Touring, and we're going to tint it and PPF it and ceramic it. So what we're doing today is we're going to polish this. It's actually already been done. But we're going to polish the whole car. We're going to coat the whole thing in clear bra or paint protective film, PPF. And so that way we can protect the whole vehicle against dings and scratches and keep it looking good for the entirety of its life. We're going to throw some XR Plus dual layer nano ceramic window tint on here, and it's going to look amazing when we're done with it. And we'll top it off with a nice ceramic coating. So if you come in here, look at these back doors. You'll see that these gaskets are huge. We've got this big old thick piece that we've got to get all the way to the edge of, basically. And then the same thing on this side. And so in order to get to those gaskets without folding or creasing the film, I had to remove this bottom gasket to give myself some room to work. So by removing that bottom one, I've removed essentially one of my constricting factors, because otherwise I'd have to tuck it behind another gasket. So by removing it, I make my work a little bit easier, and by making it a little easier, I can make it turn out significantly better. You'll get less contaminants and less chance for creasing, and overall it'll just look better. So I'm heat gunning this to try and get this film to cure around the edges so that when I roll it down to reinstall the door panel, we don't have any problems, because that is too big to fit through the back side of the window. You have to come through this side and put it down that way. So I'm trying to heat this up and speed up the curing process.
so far this car has been much, much easier than I was expecting it to be. These doors have very subtle curves to it, and so everything's just sitting down really, really nice on it. Got that tacked down, make sure all my edges are good, lined up right before I start working it. Oh, that looks gorgeous. We'll go ahead and start at the top. I like to tack down the top portion of the door. That way, if I do need to pull it down at all, it's good. I try to pull as little as I can on black cars. Otherwise, you'll wind up seeing adhesive marks. It is the most satisfying to do it on these vehicles, to watch all the bubbles go away. I like to do kind of half strokes. So every time I'll go back over what I just went over. So when I'm coming down towards this door, I'll kind of do half strokes with medium pressure. Then I'll come back in a minute with hard pressure. I'm not using any tack solution on this door. I am just doing my slip solution in case I have to pull something back up, which is fairly common on a black vehicle. You don't want to show anything. You don't want your customer to come back and say, hey, why does this look this way? Because you tacked it down, you couldn't get a little bit of water, a little bit of air out. Most air will work its way out on these. It's very, 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 very satisfying to watch these bubbles move. All right, it's the end of day 5 having this Lucid here. We got it on Tuesday. It had 2 days of paint correction, a little bit more than a day and a half of window tint just because of some difficulties that went along there. It has been completely protected in paint protection film now at this point. All the edges of the hood is wrapped over. We just have a little bit of cleanup to do on the car before the customer comes and picks it up tomorrow morning. I guess today, because it's around 1 a.m. right now. Cleaning up the windows, but let me talk you through what we did. If you look at the windows here, they're all completely tinted up. You can't tell any edge of the window. This window has 2 gaskets here. This window went all the way to the edge. It has kind of like a piano black behind it. Our guy Cameron is amazing. He pulled the door panels completely off the vehicles. On these back doors, they had sunshades that went up. He went ahead, took those off, and was able to bottom load these windows with Expel XR Plus film. So he's got protection there. The back window, we thought originally we were gonna have to pull out the rear deck on this back window. He was able to just slide it between and just kind of got his tool in there to give it a little bit of room for the film to drop in. but it turned out great. He did this on his first try, which we were prepared to go through quite a bit of film on this rear window just because we didn't know how this was gonna go. So I'm happy that we didn't have to remove the rear deck. This car looks phenomenal. All of the paint protection film that we did is XPEL as well. It's their Ultimate Plus, it's their new Ultimate Plus line. We really liked working with it, and we protected anything and everything we could. The mirrors are protected as well. They're multi-pieces, so the top is a piece, the bottom is a piece that came out. We plotted as much as we could, and then we just extended the edges on anything we were doing to be able to wrap those corners and make it as seamless as possible. I'm really, really happy with the end product on this vehicle. We didn't really know what we were gonna get ourselves into, where this is a vehicle we've never worked on. This is a vehicle a lot of people haven't worked on. Tomorrow morning before he shows up, the guys are gonna go through and detail the interior of the car out, which he's not expecting, and hopefully he really likes that. And we really hope to do more of these cars in the future and be able to protect more cars like this one. It's amazing to be able to protect a car to where you know when it leaves your shop, nothing is going to hurt it, whether he runs it through a tunnel wash or however he chooses to maintain this. The car will be protected for years and years and years to come. It needed a lot of work to get it where we wanted it, and because we knew we were going to cover it in paint protection film. Paint protection film covers up a lot of those cracks, but just with our shop and how we do things, we wanted it to be as perfect as it could be. So we cut, polished, we did 90 to 95% scratch removal and enhancement on this before we even covered it with PPF. Once you put the PPF on it, it looks like a mirror. Down the road, it'll pay off. It's just the customer paid for perfection, and that's what we delivered today here at Detail Shop. So I guess the last thing for us to do is I'll start touching it up and we'll get it out the door.